So we will now begin the presentation of this fall's American Philosophical Society prizes. The first of them is the Jacques Barzun Prize in Cultural History, which was established in 1993 by a former student of Professor Barzun's. The prize is awarded annually to the author whose book exhibits distinguished work in American or European cultural history. Michael Wood, chair of the prize selection committee, will present the 2023 Jacques Barzun Prize. Michael.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. The 2023 Barzun Prize in Cultural History is awarded to Jared Farmer in recognition of his book, Elderflora, A Modern History of Ancient Trees. Dr. Farmer is the Walter H. Annenberg Professor of History at the University of Pennsylvania. Elderflora takes us on a series of quite extraordinary journeys. We learn about a sequence of tree species, for example, from cedar to baobab. We learn about the long life of the yew tree in English graveyards, about German explorations of Mexican dragon trees, about lost tree worlds of Pacific countries, about the fate of sequoias in the American West, and much, much more. Trees can always surprise us, Professor Farmer suggests. Playing with the familiar idea of the long century, that is, the century's got a bit from the one before, a bit from the one after, he says his book concerns the longest 19th century. This was a time, he says, when consciousness was, quote, pulled far backward in linear time, and simultaneously when the energy transition to fossil fuels hurtled human impacts far into the future, end of the quote. One of the most interesting implications of this long or longest perspective is that science finds itself merging with philosophy. This is what Professor Farmer says. The category oldest known is less biological than epistemological. The subset of the oldest knowable, that is, trees that can be absolutely dated all the way back to their first year of growth. In this world, both more resilient and more endangered than we think, trees, Professor Farmer says, have an ethical claim. Nothing could be, and I love this phrase, nothing could be more pragmatically sacred. To respect this claim of the trees is to be what Professor Farmer calls timeful. He modestly says he has hoped to, I quote again, to say something hopeful or at least anti-hopeless about linear time. Many of us will want to tell him that he has more than amply succeeded. It is my great pleasure to present the Jacques Barzun Prize in Cultural History to Jared Farmer. You get both of them. You get to say a few words too. Good luck. Okay, sweet God.
It's so beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much. I really can't imagine a more meaningful honor for my book. I'm deeply gratified that the APS recognizes that environmental history can be cultural history. You know, my first academic love as a child was geography. Later, I considered becoming a geomorphologist before finding my way to history. Had I been born a decade or two before, I'm pretty sure I would have become a historical geographer. But that field has been more or less absorbed by what was my destination, environmental history. And I don't feel entirely at home there, honestly. I feel more in common with religious studies scholars on the one hand and field ecologists on the other. And years ago, somewhat cheekily, I invented a neologism for my scholarship. I'm a geohumanist, I said. And over time, I became a lot more sincere about it. And with Elderflora, I tried to give a book-length meaning to geohumanism, a word I still use for three main reasons. One, it puts Earth first, literally, not in an anti-human or even ecocentric way, but in recognition that this perfect planet is precedent to humanity. Two, it suggests that geology, geomorphology, geography, and the geosciences are vital to the humanist project. And three, it implies that geopolitics, geogovernance, and now geoengineering are unsolvable problems without the humanities. In short, all humanities are geohumanities in the Anthropocene. That's part of the message of Elderflora. Thank you again.
The Karl Spencer Lashley Award was established in 1957 by a gift from Dr. Lashley, a member of the Society, and a distinguished neuroscientist and neuropsychologist. His entire scientific life was spent in the study of behavior and its neural basis. Lashley's famous experiments on the brain mechanisms of learning, memory, and intelligence helped inaugurate the modern era of integrative neuroscience. And the Lashley Award recognizes innovative work that continues exploration in the field. John Hildebrand, a member of the Lashley Award Selection Committee, will present the award.
The recipient of the 2023 Karl Spencer Lashley Award is Silvia Arber, professor of neurobiology and cell biology at the Biozentrum in the University of Basel, Switzerland, quote, in recognition of her elegant elucidation of brainstem mechanisms that control movement of the body. Silvia Arber has made fundamental discoveries concerning the organization and operation of motor circuitry in the brainstem. She has advanced our understanding of circuit-level computation in amazingly discrete populations of brainstem cells, which control the spinal cord during movement. Using elegant behavioral dissection methods, in combination with state-of-the-art molecular interventions, she showed that hitherto undescribed, spatially intermingled brainstem circuits play specialized roles in the activation of specific muscle groups via the spinal cord circuits. Furthermore, she showed that well-defined subsets of those brainstem nuclei receive functionally specialized inputs from upstream motor control areas in the midbrain and forebrain. Arber's discovery of motor control circuits that are spatially intermixed yet functionally specialized depended upon meticulous application of the most powerful new tools in neurobiology for identifying unique cell types, which Dr. Arber accomplished brilliantly. Remarkably, Dr. Arber was also able to show that the same brainstem motor circuits receive direct inputs from fear and escape circuits in the amygdala and periaqueductal gray, which is part of the brain, structures that are known to govern emotional behaviors. This finding helps us understand how multiple brain sources can activate specific motor behaviors. As a result of Arber's spectacular work, the premotor brainstem nuclei are being converted from terra incognita to an interesting and functionally understandable system of microcircuits. Her discoveries have opened fertile new ground for understanding how movement is controlled in the healthy brain and how it is affected in neurodegenerative disease. It is my great personal pleasure to present the 2023 Karl Spencer Lashley Award to Silvia Arber.
Thank you so much. It's an enormous pleasure to receive this award. And I would like to start by thanking the Society and the illustrious selection committee for actually selecting me. It's really an enormous honor. This prize doesn't only go to me. This is team science, so the many scientists who have worked with me over the years contributed enormously to this work. Let me just say a few words about neuroscience. Neuroscience is another field that has really gained enormously by the technology that has been discovered over the, let's say, last 10 to 20 years. And it's progressing in a direction that makes us think that we have a chance to maybe at some point understand it. We've heard a lot about diversity this morning, diversity of microbes. The nervous system is also extremely diverse. And I think Lashley would be proud now to see how we can actually dissect the nervous system into cell types and begin to understand which precise cells do what. And that gives us hope also that maybe one day we'll not only understand how we move, which is what we study, but also how the brain accomplishes something as complex as cognition, and how the two phenomena are interlinked. When we think something, we want to put it out in action. And so there is a constant interplay between the circuits of our cognitive systems and how we actually get that to do. And that's a challenge for the future to come, but I think technology really helps us enormously in achieving that. Thank you very much.